In the last lecture, we studied about the election campaigning, the whole preparation that we did for conducting elections in any country. Now we start with the final election day, that is the polling day, when people come out of their houses and they give their votes to choose a representative they deem to be a perfect person to put forward their demands, their problems in the authorities. On the day of polling, nowadays we are using electronic voting machines, but earlier we used to use ballot boxes in which ballot papers were used for casting votes. In these papers, we used to see that there was one sheet of paper with names of the candidates written on one side and symbols on the other side. The voters had to put a stamp on these symbols on the person, on the candidate whomever they wanted to elect as their representative. It was folded and then it was put into a ballot box. But nowadays we are using the electronic voting machines, that is the EVMs. For casting our votes. These machines are way much better when we compare it with the ballot box, because there were chances of rigging while we were using the ballot boxes. There were booth capturing. So to avoid these problems, to avoid these incidences, we are starting to use the EVMs, which is a machine on which the same thing is done. There are names, there are symbols of the representatives, but all you have to do in the EVMs is you have to push a button and instantly your vote will be casted, and this is for the benefit and for the ease of the voters to give their votes, also for the people for counting the votes easily, because it provides an instant totaling of the votes to the election commission. After a few days of the casting of the vote, we find that the results are declared, and on this declaration of results on this day, all the EVMs, they are taken to a secret place which is not, the name of the place is not revealed earlier, and on that day the machines are opened and the result is declared. Whoever has got the majority votes in the area, in the constituency, that person is elected as the representative of a particular constituency. Now at both the points, one at the point of the casting of the vote and second at the point of counting of the vote, at both these points agents of all the candidates are present, so that no cheating can be done at these two particular points, because we find that sometimes at the time of voting there could be candidates standing there, the people or the associates of these candidates standing there influencing people or giving them bribes, giving them some lollipops for gaining their votes or to get their votes, to bribe their votes. But these things are avoided, these things are checked with this process, that the agents of all the candidates are present there, so no candidate can do these activities to attract the votes of these voters. Then again, at the time of counting also, to avoid any cheating, the agents are present there who keep a vigilance over the whole process, so that no cheating can be done at this point. But still, apart from all these vigilance, all these checks that the election commission is keeping on the whole process of elections, still we find that there are loopholes, there are ways and means which these candidates use, which these agents use to attract the votes of the people or to bribe the votes of the people. These are the unfair practices, the unfair methods that these candidates use, so that they can get majority votes from areas which they might not have gotten if they had played the game in a fair manner. So why should we accept the decision of the election if there are ways and means to cheat in the whole process, or anyone can get the majority votes by bribe or by threats and such kind of unfair malpractices? The question that arises here is, what makes elections in India democratic? The false practices that these candidates use are the inclusion of false names in the voter list, so that the people who are actually not present can cast their votes in favor of those who give them more money, so that the decisions of the elections can be manipulated. The decision that will come afterward will not be a fair decision. Sometimes, because they have authority, because they have power in their own hand, maybe money power or muscle power, they misuse the government properties. Those who have excessive money, they spend it on their election campaigning. Although there are guidelines set by the election commission that they are not supposed to make their expenses unlimited, they have put barriers on excessive expenditure of money, but still behind the scene, behind the stage, they are under the table giving monies to the people, to those whose votes they can buy easily, or they can threaten them very easily. All these practices which are used for manipulating the decisions of the election, they are involved in rigging. That you are not allowing the election process to run in a fair manner, and the decision that will come afterwards will not be a proper decision, will not be a proper democratic decision. Now what can we do to avoid these rigging processes, all these malpractices? For keeping a regulation, keeping a control over all these false practices, we have set up an institution, a completely independent institution which keeps a complete vigilance over the whole process of elections, and it keeps a check that no cheating is done at any level of the whole election process. The institution is called the Election Commission of India. The Election Commission comprises of one Chief Election Commissioner, who is appointed by the President of the country. At present, Mr. S.Y. Qureshi is our Chief Election Commissioner. Then the Chief Election Commissioner, with the consultation of the President, appoints two other election commissioner under him to assist him in the whole election process. So combinedly there are 3 members of the whole election commission, and then the whole government employees during the time of election, all the government employees, they function for the election commission only and not for the government. They can hire these government employees to do all the work of the election process. Although the appointment of the election commissioner and the chief election commissioner and the 2 election commissioners is done by the president, but after the appointment, the president or the executive do not hold any power in the election commission. They function completely independent. The decisions, the regulation, everything is conducted under the election commission only, and legislature, executive or judiciary, they have no power to interfere in the functioning of the election commission. This is something which provides the election commission a chance to function in a very fair manner without any influence of the executive, the politicians, the legislature. If it was not an independent body, it was not an independent institution, then the existing or the running party or the running ministers, they would have influenced the election processes and they would have tried to manipulate the decisions of the election. That is why this election commission is given complete separate authority to function and to regulate the election process throughout the country in an independent manner. Its work is to keep a watch over the whole process of the elections, right from the framing of the constitution till the declaration of the result. All the work is done under the functioning, under the vigilance of the election commission only. If during the whole process they found that there had been a cheating, there had been a rigging in the whole process, they also hold the authority to punish that particular person. They can cancel that person's nomination and they can even remove that person after the election as well. They provide the guidelines, the mode of conduct that we studied in the earlier lecture. They provide all the functionings that the candidates, the voters have to follow during the whole process of elections.